Are organic foods without chemicals really necessary, or can you eat non-organic foods with a clear conscience? The answer depends on your genes, and in this video I explain why. In our industrialized world, we are exposed to thousands of chemicals and pollutants. We spray them as herbicides and pesticides on our fruits and vegetables. We come into contact with adhesives and solvents and consume them as toxic heavy metals through seafood from our increasingly polluted seas. These pollutants enter our body through skin contact, inhalation, or ingestion. Since these toxins have no place in our body, evolution has provided us with a weapon, the so-called GST gene family. Let's take a closer look. Toxic chemicals and heavy metals enter our body through various ways. The GST genes come into play here, recognizing these pollutants and chemically converting them into less harmful forms. This not only causes less damage, but more importantly, only now does the body recognize them as toxins and begins filtering them out. Thus, herbicides and pesticides on fruits and vegetables are hardly a cause for concern. They are recognized by these genes and quickly filtered out of the body. Regular vegetables from the supermarket are therefore not a problem in this case. However, as with most genes, there are frequently occurring genetic defects. In this example, toxins enter the body again. If some or all of the detoxification genes do not function properly, they cannot recognize and filter these pollutants from your body. These pollutants and heavy metals can then accumulate in the body and negatively impact health. How do you deal with such a genetic defect? The first step is to reduce contact with toxins as much as possible. Instead of consuming vegetables contaminated with chemicals, opt for organic alternatives. Large marine fish and shellfish, which often contain heavy metals, should also be limited. There are also various minerals that can bind heavy metals and filter them out of the body, instead of your genes. The GST gene family consists of 3 different genes: GSTT1, GSTP1 and GSTM1. Each of these genes has a functional form as well as frequently occurring functioning-reducing genetic defects. The more genes that function properly, the greater the body's detoxification ability. However, some people have hardly any functioning genes and are very sensitive to toxins. Interestingly, 2 of these genes have a unique characteristic. Usually a genetic defect is a single letter error in the tens of thousands of letters long genetic code of the gene. As with a typo in a user manual, the cell no longer understands the gene's instructions and the gene's function is lost. For 2 of the GST genes, things are a bit different. Instead of a typo, the entire gene is missing. In science, we call this a so-called null allele. As with a genetic defect, the complete protective function of the gene is absent. Whether your body can handle herbicides and pesticides or whether you should opt for organic foods largely depends on your genes.